Hey, welcome everybody to the Culturalist podcast, Conversations with Pam Ross. I'm Pam Ross, and I just had the most amazing conversation with Eliane Treadwell. Listen, if you have been listening to the Culturalist podcast, you know that she's a regular here. She is a brilliant chemist, esthetician, formulator. She is the owner of Relevant Labs. And I've just kind of been tracking with her in this entrepreneurial journey. We both entered in to full-time solopreneurship around the exact same time. And it's remarkable because she came to me as a Bible college intern. And so I've known her for all of these years. And so having real, raw conversations about how's the journey so far? How are you sleeping? Are you getting any clients? How do you keep them? How are we progressing when your dream comes true? What happens to you after your dream comes true? Do you live happily ever after or what? Right? And so we had this great conversation, checking in with her, seeing how she's doing. I will tell y'all this. She has a whole new look, as Patti LaBelle would say, ooh, 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 ooh. Wait till you see it. You're going to love this conversation with Eliane Treadwell. This is the Culturalist Podcast, Conversations with Pam Ross. Hi, I'm Pam Ross, the Culturalist. I love good conversations with interesting people. In this podcast, we use the art of conversation to explore what's happening in culture. Thanks for joining us. Hey, how are you, Miss Eliane Treadwell?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm so happy to see you. First of all, I ain't going to act like I didn't see you yesterday. How's my skin looking?
It's looking amazing per usual.
It's looking good. I'm so happy. You know what? Your recommendations, just they go a long way. And when I tell you I adhere to them. One time I was in a store and you had sent me in to find something, they didn't have it. And so, of course, being a good salesperson, she was recommending this and recommending that. And I said, no, I'm looking for that particular product because my esthetician recommended it. She said, oh, well, I'm an esthetician. I can tell you, etc. And I said, well, but mine is also a chemist and she has skin like mine.
Yeah,
No shade,
that
no
makes a
shade,
difference.
but she has skin like mine. And she says, oh, okay, well, all right. I said, I'm gonna stick to the prescription. So it's been
Yes,
working for me. And even as I'm preparing for this climate change to live in
yes.
some humidity, moving from the Midwest with these four seasons to moving to
hmm
Florida, which basically just has spring and summer over and over again.
Yes.
Yeah, just spring and summer. That's pretty much all they have. And
hmm
but the summer is so humid. I think it might actually be better than moving to the desert.
Possibly.
Possibly.
Possibly. We'll see.
I'll just
We
yeah,
shall
I'll just
see.
we'll see
It
how I
depends
respond to it.
on, yeah, because some people I see, some clients have asthma, which can flare up in multiple ways. So, like,
Yeah.
obviously, it affects your breathing, but it also impacts your skin. And
Oh
because most
wow.
doctors like put you on steroids, then that means your skin is thinner, so you would do better in less humid atmospheres. So
Oh,
it just
that's why a
depends.
lot of people that have asthma are recommended to move to drier areas.
Arizona, yeah, Arizona,
Yeah.
Las
Yeah.
Vegas, those type of places where it's dry heat.
Interesting. Okay, very, very
Mhm.
interesting. Well, we'll see. And I know this. I'll keep it clean. I'll keep it moisturized. I'll keep protecting it from the sun, and I'll keep booking these trips because I'm gonna come back to the Midwest to get my
Of
skin
course, you have to come back to see your daughter. Me, I'm gonna be here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so much has happened on your CEO journey. And I
Oh,
love these
yes,
check-ins because we really kind of started around the same season. And
we
there's
did.
been so much in our lives that are so parallel that we
hmm
enter the same season at the same time, you know?
Or I'm right behind you.
Yeah, yeah, you're right behind me. Uh-oh, so you know what that means. Get ready
I
for
know. I'm excited. Hopefully that happens sooner than later.
okay,
So
get
we'll
ready
see.
for romance. Look, Yeah, and so we entered into full-time CEO around the same time. And it's interesting because when you work for someone else and work for yourself part-time, there is the frustration of, I can't wait until I, can do what I do for myself. I can't wait. And then I think also the stretching of your integrity, where we used to always say, well, work while you're at work. And when you leave there, don't, you know what I mean? Don't give people more than what they're really paying for.
What they're paying you for. Yeah.
Be excellent at work, have integrity at work. But when you have a dream that you're building, you really can't afford to give your job that you can't afford to give the job your dream time. So making that,
I wanted to add to that point about integrity that you said, because we lived by that code, like, we're going to work our 9 to 5 from 9 to 5, and then we're going to do our dream from this time to this time.
Right.
But what that principle taught me, and I was so thankful that we like came together on that principle, because what it taught me was, when I'm approaching any type of project with a client, it's like, you give your all to this client. You put yourself, you fully invest yourself. You get like, as they say, 10 toes down into the project, because you've been doing that for projects. Like, the way I seen my old job was like, this was a project that I was working on for a client.
Absolutely.
And so now when I approach my clients, it's like, I'm dedicated to your project from this time to this time, or from whatever, because this is what this is how I move in integrity, So when you operate like that, and those little things that we don't think are character building, such as like working your job when you're working your job, that's going to carry and follow you when you're in entrepreneurship. So these are the key, like, you're building these characteristics now, where, while you're working your full-time job, you're really just practicing what it's going to be like for entrepreneurship when you finally like jump into that full-time role. So I was glad that we practiced that, because it gives you the wherewithal to say, I have integrity. I got to work on this client's project.
Right.
I don't care what happens. I'm scheduling this time. Like, I even got a timer to give myself that time to say, like, 45 minutes you're going to spend answering emails. 45 minutes you're going to spend on this client's research. Or an hour on writing a formula, or whatever it is that you're doing, because it gives me that structure that I need. And that's what most entrepreneurs need, because we just kind of freelance around, but you need that structure to be able to keep you in alignment and make sure you actually reach goals and check stuff off the box.
It makes so much sense, because when you're in that place of working your job and working your dream part-time, it's like, you just want freedom. I just want freedom. I just want freedom. And what you realize is the structure that we had to have, the discipline that we had to have, was actually the thing that helps you manage your freedom.
Agreed. Because if you want to stay free, you have to maintain it. And I think that a lot of times we think that once we get free, that's it. Like, it's kind of like with the children.
I can sleep until I sleep. I can do what I want to do. Oh, no, you can't. Now you're the boss.
Yes. And you are responsible for how things flow, like the ebb and flow of everything, not only just your calendar, but if you have employees or staff members, you're in charge of that. And you have to set the example for them, because they're going to take their cues from you. So if you are all over the place, they're going to be all over the place. And if they feel like you're not showing up to do work, they're not going to show up and do work, So everything boils down to how you lead by example, and just, holding yourself accountable, especially if you're a solo entrepreneur. So I work constantly. Like, I know that is like a bad habit of mine. I am just so used to always going. My brain is always going. And because I work in personal care is all around us. I can't escape it. So my mind is always thinking about something, but I have to tell myself, like, you have to rest too. Like, work 9 to 5 to 9 to 5.
How do you schedule that time? How do you schedule that time to say, because scheduling time to work is no big deal. You just have to organize your time to work. So it doesn't sound like you're scheduling time to work. It sounds like I'm organizing my time. I'm going to delegate this much time, or designate this much time to do this much time to do that. But how do you decide this is the time where I'm not working, and be okay with it?
I have, well, for me, because I'm so used to being on the go and being busy and doing stuff with my hands, or doing stuff with my mind, I have
Mhm.
to like make sure when I'm scheduling things that it's going to be something that I can fully immerse myself into, where I can like put my phone down or not check an email or not take a phone call or not get any notifications. So one of the things I signed up for this summer was calligraphy. So I went and
Which
took
is so different.
calligraphy class, which is completely different, which is not, it has nothing to do with my work. I don't use calligraphy in any of my science. Like,
I
it's
love
just
it.
something that I just enjoy. I signed up for tennis courses to keep my body moving.
Yes.
Just things like that. Like, I love reading. I'm an avid reader.
Yes,
So
you are.
I get into like books, and I'm learning. Like, at first I was like, before I became a full-time entrepreneur, everything was like business, 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 how to manage money, how to do this, how to do that. And now I'm like, you should read for enjoyment. Like, when you're in the lab, put your AirPods in and listen to an audiobook about business or money. But when you're at home and you're laying down in your lounge clothes, go and immerse yourself in another
Yeah.
world. So like, I don't like gossip. I don't follow gossip sites or any of that stuff
Mm-mm.
online. But I enjoy like reading a good love story or reading
Yes.
something funny or a fantasy book or something like that,
Yes.
just to get myself out of my natural normal element. So that's for me how I plan my time. Like, I have to plan that time away, or else my mind will wander to work and money and contracts and this client and
Yes.
that and this and this and this. I have to fully step away from that world in order to like enjoy the outside world.
And one of the wonderful things about reading is one of those things when you have a paper book, it's
Mhm.
not something you can do and do other things. So you can't read a book
Yes.
and check email. You can't read a book and
Mhm.
like I can't read a book and create a teaching outline or a training outline at the same time.
Mhm.
And so I think particularly reading fiction.
Yes,
Reading fiction enlarges your creativity because
it
it
does.
it forces your mind to create a visual of what you're reading.
Yes.
So as you're reading the book, you're seeing the blue dress and the
Mhm.
green grass. Like you're reading the story, but it's forcing your brain to create the colors, create the smell, create the
Mhm.
all of those things. And it causes you to
Mhm.
be able to think outside the box. I think this
And it
calligraphy.
causes you to dream for your life too. Like,
Yes.
how life can be different for you, and how
Awaken your
like this could be,
imagination.
yeah, like this can be actualized, if you
Yeah.
really want to have this type of life or whatever it is that you're thinking about. Like, it kind of has you floating, and I love that because it gives my brain a break.
I love it.
A much needed
Yes.
break.
From work, it takes your brain from work mode to let's
Yes.
do it. One of the things,
Yes.
I just turned 60 a couple of months ago, and one of the things that taking that dream time in reading and particularly podcasting, my favorite, can I just go down a rabbit trail right now? LeVar
Hmm.
Burton Reads has released their last
Yes.
episode, and I am in mourning.
I know. I love LeVar, and that is so hard for
I mean,
me.
for
I have
decades,
been
we love him.
I have been really trying so hard not to listen. I'm not gonna listen to it. I'm just gonna
Yeah,
savor
you don't
it.
want to listen to that last
And
one because it'll be
yes,
over.
I just don't, because it's like it's so finalized, and I don't
Yeah.
like it. And LeVar
Yes.
has been reading to us for years, and it's just so
Yes.
sad we
And
won't let him
encouraging us
stop.
to be readers. So we applaud him.
Yes, yes.
But even
And
in
you know what made me
oh, go ahead.
appreciate him a lot was Netflix had a special about LeVar and how like the Reading Rainbow came about. It's incredible. Check it out. Like, it'll
I
bring
am
you to
gonna
tears
check it
because it's
out.
like, oh my gosh, like this is Black history. Like, we just love him. And one thing I love about LeVar is that he has always, in every role that he's ever been in, where he was like in Star Trek or even
Yes.
Reading Rainbow, which you'll see in the documentary if you watch it. he talked about how he fought for his autonomy to be able to like be a Black man with a beard on TV and be respected.
Yes.
Like they wanted him to be clean shaven. He was like, no, I have a beard. I'm wearing a Jerry curl. You know what I'm saying? Like he really fought for his individuality. And he even talked about it in Star Trek where he was like, you know, they were going to try to make me gay. And he was like, listen, y'all got to be okay with a Black man being a heterosexual that's powerful, that have, you know what I'm saying? Like he really fought to not be that role.
Wow.
And he talked about that. Like I wanted to be who I really was, not
yes.
like, you know, don't soften the Black male. Like let us be who we're gonna be. Like
yes.
we have to soften the image of Black men, you know,
like,
where people can accept
I was gonna
us.
say,
or
you know
not soften, but digest it.
You know
for sure. And he fought for that, and I love that about LeVar. That's why I'm like, LeVar, don't leave us.
It would have shifted that whole role. It would have lessened the impact of that role of him being so smart, so techie, so reliable, and the fact that he genuinely loved sci-fi as an actor. He genuinely loved it
as an actor,
and then to be able to be on Star Trek was remarkable. But I did not know that. Okay, I'm sold. I'm gonna go watch it because we both know what that will let you on if you play homosexual. And listen, if you're homosexual, you're listening to this, it's no shade on you, but we know that when we script a Black man like that and we want to add that where it doesn't call for it, the role doesn't call for it.
That's what he was saying.
You could put that on any other character, but the reason why they want to do it is they want to make you no threat to white women.
Yes.
This is a safe one because he doesn't want our women.
Yes. And that's what he was saying. Like it wasn't and I love how he like very eloquently explained it. He was like, you know, it's no shots at the homosexual community. He was like, it's just that you all need to get comfortable with seeing Black men be heterosexual and not threatening, you know? So LeVar has fought for the Black community and for our voices and our faces to be as it is for so long. And he deserves all the honor. He really deserves all the honor.
Even some of the things that he chose to read, some of those stories, I will go back and listen to them again and again because they were so diverse. And they were not always about the trauma caused by an oppressor. But it's real life stories about relationships and community and, you know, so it was absolutely brilliant. But we're avid readers and I have to get back into reading some fiction. Now this is a thing I have to stop. I will read fiction only on vacation. Yeah. And what I need to do is just work it into my regular routine. Like if I'm reading for work, I count that as work because that's sharpening my mind. I count it as research or anything else. But I need to just begin to, in the evenings, just pick up a book and read it because you love the
30 minutes.
Yeah. You love the story.
And you'll get wrapped up in the story. And I mean, I've read so many diverse stories that is so far-fetched from who I am and what is in my natural order that it's just helped me as an entrepreneur how to approach things. And like I'm always inspired by the authors who take their time to craft out these characters and develop like these people up where you can follow this story and really fall in love with these characters and fall in love with the story. And so for me, when I approach my work, I do the same thing. So like when I'm like pitching a ingredient to a client, I'm like building up the character and telling them like this is easy and da 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 da, you know. So it's just helped me in so many ways to expand my mind, but also just become more creative and approach things in a different way and have a more positive light in life. Like we see so much trauma as Black women. We see a lot of trauma. We go through a lot of stuff. But having an opportunity to be able to step away for a minute and see Black women being treated with care and treated delicately has been such, like, especially in this time of like the presidential election. I have told myself I'm limiting myself from social media. I'm limiting myself from certain content because I already know that the Black woman is going to come under crazy attack, right?
And here's the deal. We got to ask, how do we already know it? How do
and I have been
how do we already know it?
About the type
most
of
us
content.
have lived it. Yes.
And that's why I've been so vigilant about the type of content that I'm ingesting, especially in this season.
Yeah.
Like, what are you ingesting? What do you take? Like, that's why I'm like, okay, I have to take myself out of that business mindset where I'm like, okay, let me read a mentor book. Let me read this. Let me read that. That'll like get me going for business, and like really allow myself to be soft and sensitive as a Black woman. Because a
Yeah.
lot of times with business, what I've learned is that it takes that femininity away from you because you have to be aggressive. Like, people are going to play in your face. They're going to try to manipulate you. They're
Yep.
going to lie to you. They're going to do all these things. And so you have to get like almost in the mud and get like gritty and harsh. And I've seen so many of my peers personally that are in business lose their femininity and you lose their softness and their edge as a woman to be charming and be able to like, you know, like not necessarily be manipulative, but like use your femininity as a
That's
tool
right.
and not
Use
like
that as a
not
strength.
have it weaponized. Yes. And
Yes.
that's what I feel like that's what we've lost so much. Like when we boss chicks and we boss up and stuff,
Yep.
like in this season of my life, I have been fighting for my softness. Like I am in my soft era. I changed my hair around, everything
Yes.
just because my plan is to appear softer and be, you know, allow myself the space to be soft. Like every other racial group, every other woman in the racial group, white women, Chinese women, Indian women, they all get to be soft. They all get to be feminine. They all get to be all of these things. Black women just never get that opportunity. And
We have
I'm
to
taking
be
that back to myself.
there you go. We have to reclaim it and say,
I
no, I'm
am
not.
fighting for
I'm
it.
not going to war for you. I'm not.
I'm not going to war with you.
I'm not going to war
I am
with
going to
you.
be a soft, elegant, dainty woman. And I'm
Yes.
going to run my business. I'm not going to get ran over,
No.
but I'm going to run my business and be happy and enjoy the softer things in life that I can afford for myself as a single woman. And just, you know, I've been really pressing myself to create the kind of life that I want. So I know that I don't want my life to be all work and nothing else.
No.
Like, that's
Good.
it. I'm going to do the work that I'm going to do, but I don't want it to all just be work. You know, I want to enjoy little things, like softer things, like going to the park, walking through the meadows, going to a garden, you know, things like that that I enjoy that I just never got the chance to explore with trying to work a full-time job, trying to build my side hustle, then turning my side hustle into my full-time hustle, and then keeping my full-time hustle up, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, listen, I'm just a girl.
Yeah.
I'm God's girl.
Come on.
And
I was going to tell you
obviously
have made some significant decisions, but I think decisions are also a fruit of freedom because you did the work to get free. And then you that freedom of identity, where sometimes when you are in a place where you can't really be yourself, or it's not safe to be yourself, you don't really get to even meditate on and have revealed to you and discover, wow, this is the real me. This is, or even this is who I want to be right now. This is who I want to be right now. And the freedom to do that and not have to go into warfare with someone about it. And when I tell you, I love it. You know, people say, oh, I love that for you. No, I love it. I love the very concept of it. I love the idea that when you are truly free, you can decide, this is who I am. I am a beautiful, feminine, intellectual, you know, I'm physically fit. I'm economically strong, and this is who I am. And this is who I have decided to be and what my life is going to be like. And you're building it.
For me, you have really modeled that to me personally, because I had never seen before in a church atmosphere and just personally, I've never seen women be powerful and soft, powerful and beautiful, feminine, where like even when I love listening. One of the reasons why you are like one of my most favorite preachers ever, and I have to
thank you.
You are my favorite preacher. Like honestly, it's because you don't like. It's not that I don't appreciate a good grunt or roar or whatever, but like I appreciate how you can give and deliver the word of God and teach the word of God. Not even just preaching, but teaching. the word of God in such an elegant way, elegant way, and deliver it and be powerful, but also be feminine, and not, and just because you're that you're weak. Like you say, like you can come in a room with a sword and slice us all down, and we be skin and bone, like no, nothing left but bones, right? Like you have separated the tear from the wheat, literally.
Yes.
And like you can come in and deliver a hard word, like a heavy word, with a beautiful smile, with courtesy, with compassion, with love. Like all of that is married into one. So when I think about approaching business, I approach business in the same way. I never seen you like, you know, I feel like you have to put on like the whole garment, the whole, you know, armor to be a man.
I gotta
like I gotta preach hard like the brothers and all that stuff. Like you've always maintained your feminine posture. And so in that, I thought about that very heavily this year. Like, you know, is this how you want to be, where you like, you feel like you have to be like part masculine, part feminine, or do you just want to live in your femininity? What feels natural? And I've been taking the softer route on myself, like giving myself the option to say, like, you don't have to do that anymore. Like that season is over. You can let that die. And that was one of the catalysts for me even changing my hair. So when I combed out my locks, like my locks were was a part of the struggle. So I locked my hair because I was so stressed out with everything that was going on in my life personally. I'm like, this is the only thing I can do to keep some hair on my head and keep my hair low maintenance. And I got invited to the White House this year, and I was flying back from New York, and I was sitting there thinking, like, you know what? It hit me like I'm in a new season, and these locks don't represent the season that I'm in. I love my locks, right?
Yeah, and
but they didn't represent my season.
Locks. But if that's who you are,
right?
And if it's not who you are, then change it to be who you are.
Exactly. And so it was like, for me, it was a softer edge to create a softer look for myself personally, that I felt like embodied who I am now. My hair, I'm loose, I'm free. So I wanted my hair to be loose and free and natural. So I took the route and did it, you know. So I'm happy with that now. But I had to realize, like, sometimes when you're in different seasons cause you to change things about yourself that you didn't think you would have to change, but it's necessary for you to grow and go.
Was it emotional?
It was very emotional.
Really?
For me, a little, you know, it was emotional because it was such a huge change. But I realized, like, I knew it was God, because it just hit me. Because I was like, I had just told my loctician, I was like, I want to grow my locks all the way down to my waist.
Yes.
And then a week later, here I am telling her I'm ready to comb them out. She was like, what happened?
What happened?
And I had to tell her, I was like, you know, I realized that these represented a different season, and I'm not there anymore.
And I'm not there.
And it was a decision to say, and you know what made it emotional for me was that I had to make a decision to trust God, to say, and believe him, not even necessarily trust him, but believe him that I'm not in that season anymore. That was the thing.
Here's the
deal. Was like,
oh my gosh, this idea of, okay, you can take your armor off now. And then you're feeling like, now, as soon as I get this last piece of armor on, I'm gonna have to fight, ain't I?
Yep.
And he's like, no,
you're gonna trick me.
Yeah, you're gonna trick me. It's a switcheroo. It's gonna be I'm gonna be bamboozled, caught off guard. I'm not gonna have what I need. And so this idea of I had to believe that season is completely over. I can relate so much. I had a friend of mine, you know, Stacy's coordinating my ceremony and reception. She's so brilliant, y'all. She is brilliant.
Just sharp as a thumbtack.
How do you feel in this? Really just giving into love is what I had to do. And I said, I feel like I'm kind of sitting in a chair, not really putting my full weight on it, because I don't want it to collapse underneath me. Yeah, this idea of, is this okay to partner up with someone who, you know, and is this thing gonna just fall apart? And so she just kept checking on me every few weeks. We're supposed to be talking about flowers, and she's saying, so are you sitting back yet? No, but I'm sitting down, you know? And then we're supposed to be trying on dresses, and she's saying, so are you sitting back yet? Well, I'm sitting all the way down and leaning back a little bit. But I had to eventually just believe that, yeah, this is the new season. And
This
then,
is a new
and
season.
amazingly, spent some time with my pastor, and out of the blue, he says to me, "You need to just rest and put your full weight on this man." I said, "What?"
Mm-hmm.
Now, why would he just out of the blue? He says this. He said, "Yeah, because he needs to know the weight of you so that he can
Mm-hmm.
call on God for the strength. That if you don't ever lean totally back into him, he will think he's got it,
Mm-hmm.
and he won't, and so
Mm-hmm.
give him that full weight of who you are professionally, ministry, all of that, emotionally, and then he will call on God to get the strength. This is how you're going to strengthen him. This is how God's
Mm-hmm.
going to strengthen him, by
Mm-hmm.
you just going ahead and doing that. And so it's I absolutely relate to this change. But let me tell you something else this here is speaking to me. As I move into mama mode real quickly.
Yes, mama.
Okay. What I see is these are the words I see when I see this hair. I've got time now.
Yes,
I've got
I've got
time.
time. Mm-hmm.
Yes. It's the
Mm-hmm.
same 24 hours as everybody else in the day, but I have
Mm-hmm.
reallocated, and I've got time now. So now
Yeah.
I can do what the things that I want to do. And
Yes. And the
yeah,
things that bring me joy, the things that
yeah.
actually brings joy, because sometimes when you're in a hard season, and entrepreneurs are going to feel this everywhere. You
Oh
know, when
yeah.
you're in a hard season, you feel like you have to sacrifice everything that's on the chopping block. Anything
Oh
that's not on
yes.
the chopping block, you just got to sacrifice everything to get this
Yep.
done. But then you hit this peak, even though you might be in a tough season, a tight season, things might be
Yeah.
changing. Like you still hit the season where it's like, you know what? I have to make the decision to believe God that I am in my purpose and plan. This is the season He wants me in, and I have to make these necessary changes because, when we were in our hard season, we didn't realize like the changes how big the decisions to trust God in
Oh
that
my word.
time
Yes.
was. And now fast forwarding where we are today, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I trusted God when I trusted Him. I'm so
Yes.
glad I obeyed Him when I obeyed Him. So it's the same thing with like making small minor changes. If God is telling you to like soften your image, or
Yeah. Do it.
take up a hobby, or
Mm-hmm.
get more sleep at night, like regulate
Yes.
your faith, or whatever it is He's telling you to do, you need to do it now because it's something that He's teeing you up for the future that's going to prepare you.
Yes.
So you just never know. So I just told myself, I'm like, I just feel this strongly with God that I need to find little ways to bring joy to my life by doing things
Yeah.
that is outside of my home and outside of work,
Yeah.
and just enjoying the things. Like God made it where even when it came down to my car, like He upgraded my car twice in like
Yes.
6 months, and in less than 6 months,
Yes.
So He upgraded my car. So now I can go safely to and from. I
Mm-hmm.
have no excuse, so I can do things that I had never been able to do or had privilege to do because I'm not in that season anymore.
I'm
And I
not in the
made the
season.
decision to
Yeah.
take off all of that stuff. Like it's kind of like when Lazarus came out the grave. It's like, take off his
Yes,
grave
and
clothes. Like
I'm
let the man breathe.
unraveling those things because they served me in the previous season, but they
Mm-hmm.
don't serve me in this season. Now it's going to take trust and faith to undress from that and redress from this. Now,
Yes.
I'm a personal development coach, and often what I tell people first
Brilliant personal
day,
development
thank
coach.
you so much. What I tell people first day is you are connected, whether you feel it or not. You are connected to people around you in a significant way.
Mm-hmm.
People see you a certain way, and they've grown comfortable about themselves as it pertains to their relationship with you. When you shift and change, the people around you may lose some of their comfort.
Mm-hmm.
And so have you found that you showing up different, you showing up as the next chapter, have there been some eyebrows like, "Oh, that's different. That's not how I'm accustomed to seeing you." Because you just
Yes.
went through this thing where you had this weight loss. And now
Mhm.
there's this, just the whole look is changing. Have you noticed that there's been an impact on people around you?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a lot of impact. Most people are so used to you being in the old way that they
Yes.
are like, "Why did you do that? I liked you when you was like that." So I remember when I first started growing my locks, my dad was like, "Oh my gosh, what are you doing with your hair?" Like, and then it took
Yes.
for my locks to grow and get some length, and he was like, "Oh, I really like how you wearing your locks, right?" And then when I decided to come out, he's like, why did you take them out? Yeah. And so it was like, this is my hair. I decided to
Yes.
make this decision, and you just gonna have to lean with that. And so he, like it's been that kind of pushback. And then it's like the visceral reaction where it's like, oh my goodness, like you really did that? I didn't know you did that. Like, when did you do it? And it's like, it around, my birthday was last Saturday. So people really started to like, it clicked, and they was like, wait, you combed your hair out? I'm like, I combed my hair out back in
Quite a
May.
while
Like,
ago.
it's been
Like
quite a
what,
while.
2 months, maybe more than that?
Yeah, like 3 months. So
Yeah.
I'm like, it's been a thing for a while now. So I don't know, like it's been, most of it has been positive, but
Yes.
for me, I didn't care what nobody thought, because
Oh,
like
no, you don't.
people
You
were trying
can't.
to talk me out of it. I was like, okay, wait till the end of the summer. What are you going to do with your hair? I'm like, listen, I need to
Whatever
do
I
this
want to do.
now. Like, if I don't do it, it's not going to happen. So I
Yeah.
did what I had to do for me. And so I think that like, that's a lesson well learned for me. It's like, when it's God, just do it. Like, I've learned over the years that I don't have to understand it. People around me don't have to understand it. If you feel like this is an impression on your spirit from God, or you feel like this is something that you need to do, do it.
Yeah.
And don't make no explanations for it. And that's just
No,
where
just
I've
lean
been
into
standing.
it.
Like, I stand in that faith.
Yeah. And I can't tell you how many times I've had coaching sessions or just general conversation with people that have a strong desire, have what they really believe is a green light from God to move into the next version of themselves, to really, because our identity is locked inside of the heart and the mind of God. And so as they're being led by him, and some changes are inevitable, and they resist those changes, they resist becoming who God says they are, God's original thought, because of how it might affect other people in their lives. And so I'm always telling them, people will adjust or not.
They will.
It's only two things they're going to do. They're either going to
That's
adjust
it.
or they're not. And either way is okay. It's not our responsibility to control how anybody thinks or feels. You know what I always say, give voice to your own soul. So what you think, what you feel, what you want is your business.
Yep. And it's all on you. Has nothing to do with me.
And I'm not called to control you, and you're not called to control me. My mandate from God is to love you. That's to contend for your highest good. And so I'm just so tickled at this.
How has things been since you got engaged? Like, what has
God
life
Almighty.
been like?
Lord of mercy.
Because I mean, like,
talk about a shift.
I see, like, I've always known you to be a woman of high joy. Like, joy, we contend for our joy, right?
Yes.
You wrote a whole book on joy, right?
Yes.
So I was just seeing, like, personally how your joy has expanded, and I didn't think it could expand anymore than what it was. But like, I see like the pure joy, and like I know that Kurt Franklin has a song. He says, in one of his songs, he says like, happiness means something is happening, so you're happy because something is happening. But like, joy is just something that you live, like it's just in your heart. It's there. And I feel like I got like walking through so many seasons with you, seeing you like, we've been in the trenches, and then we've seen like, God bring us out. And then like, but now seeing God fulfill promise, like we know that God had prophesied this to you years ago about marriage. But how does that feel to see like this big prophecy of all things like come to pass? Like, what are you feeling right now?
But I tell you something, my beloved daughter, let me tell you, I have had such a whirlwind of emotions when I realized, because our story, how I've known Pastor John for 10 years, and our friendship just began to develop at a faster rate, like checking in more often, having conversations more often. And then we spent a day together in January, and I felt like God was making me an offer, like, what do you think? I'm like, no. No. And then I went to South Africa, came back. I'm fussing about, man, maybe I'm just at a season. I want somebody to take care of me. It was no food in the house, etc. And he says, I'd like to apply for that job, right? Well, when he said that, my first thought was, no, you don't. Like, no, you don't, right? And But as things began to progress quickly, when the Lord let me know, oh, you asked for this. This is what you asked for. You said, I want to know his intentions in 90 days. I want to ring in 6 months. I want to be married in a year. Well, he told me that maybe somewhere between 90 and 100 days from that January. And I realized, oh my gosh, this is something that I wrote in a journal in 2022.
Wow.
Yep. And I went and found it because I just said, wow, this is moving fast. And God said, you asked for this. And when he said you asked for it, it's like a knowing just came over me. And I went and found the journal entry. I was scrambling, and it was August of 2022.
Wow.
And yeah. And I think the realization that not just what other people had said and because, people have been prophesying this for 10 years. It got to the point where I was saying, I don't want to hear another prophetic word. I'd stop recording them. I just was like, whatever. I told the Lord, if you could do it before I'm 72, I'll be a bride. If not, I'll just be a wife. We'll sign some paperwork, go on vacation. I know, just, how you just get frustrated. Like, in the meantime, I'm gonna go
like,
about
God,
my business.
whatever. I'm gonna obey
Lord.
you, but
yeah, like, okay, all right, whatever. But when I realized that what was happening in this relationship was what I had written, that thing, I was just, I don't know, I was so humbled. First of all, I think the first thing I felt was humility, that, oh my God, the Lord is humbling me with love, because I wrote that as a challenge. I wasn't really praying. You know how you think you ain't really praying, but Moses told the children of Israel, the Lord hears you when you're mumbling and you're murmuring in your tents. So I think I felt a strong humility that, oh my Lord, you heard me back then, and you have put this thing in motion. And then I think the second thing I felt was a strong faith that, wow, God, if you could do the one thing I thought was absolutely impossible, what could you not do? And we know that God is sovereign. Right. It's like, we know it.
We know it.
When it starts to happen, totally. It's still the Lord's doing, and it's marvelous in our eyes. It's like both things can exist, can be true at the same time. Yes, I know God is able to do it, and I'm still absolutely amazed when he does. And so I think my faith went through the roof, to believe God for other things. The idea of leaving the Midwest after living here for almost probably about 35 years, the idea of all of the connections that I have here, spiritual children, sons and daughters. Particularly, I've been having conversations with some prophets that have traveled with me, that have been developed by me, that have been launched out. Now they're serving in their churches and in ministry. Just like all of that, it just brings me to tears, because one of my highest values, particularly in this decade, is legacy. So yeah, so I've had all of these emotions about entering into now, this next season of my life, and having help, having a partner who absolutely loves me. I absolutely adore him. He is the guy for me. And it's so funny, Ailey, because let me tell you, sometimes I scratch my head and say, why didn't I say this earlier? Like, you're just the absolute.
You know what I love about this season for you is that you've done the plow, you've created arrows that you can shoot and launch out into the earth. And now is your time to just simply be cared for, because you've done the care.
Yes.
You've been the caretaker. You've raised children, including myself, that's not yours. You put us, teed us up, positioned us, helped us. You've been there. And now for me, I'm so excited to celebrate, not just you getting married, because people like, the girls love weddings and stuff like that.
We do.
I was like, if she wasn't in the courthouse, we still gonna celebrate. Like for me, it was like just knowing that. To me, this was a representation to show that God cares so much that he will send help for his daughters. And I feel like I'm so excited to see, now that you have done the caretaking and the development of people for so long, I'm so excited to see what this next stage is going to be for you, because I feel like now it's going to be where you can go into a broader category, where it's not, you're just affecting the church, but I think you can affect politics, you can affect business, you know, just really like touch all the sectors of the world.
Yeah.
And just be able to go fluently in and out of these environments and just develop and build very easily. But I don't know, like, I feel like when God makes people together, I've studied this, like, I've watched couples that I've seen get married, and I always pay attention to what the wife produced. So, like, one of the people that I watched kind of
Come
closely was
on.
Sarah Jakes Roberts, right?
Yes.
Whom I love. She's one of my faves. And I like to see it because she has a very supportive husband that's super secure in who he is and can promote her publicly and like
Yes.
push her publicly. And like, you know, if God is telling you to go on tour, I'm gonna be right there with you. If God is telling you to write a book, I'm gonna be right there with you. If you are gonna go and preach in Colorado, I'll be right there with you. If you're gonna go to Texas and take over your dad's church, I'll be right there with you.
Yes.
You know, whatever it is that God is saying that needs to be done, I'm here. And I feel like when God makes a woman with the right man, she can produce so much
Yep.
more. So all of the things that's been on the shelf, like the Inspire Training Center and all of the words that God
Yes.
has prophesied, I feel like now because you have that help and you have someone that can get in there and get in the trenches and make sure it's done, and you have the protection too, now
Yes.
it's going to be so much easier for you to do what needs to be done. So I'm excited.
It's really quite amazing because we were talking last night. First of all, thank you for being excited for me. I love it. I feel it and I love it. We were talking last night about how he feels an expansion of his responsibility, not just to be someone who's here when you get home, you know, but to really be a partner in this call, and that he sees how the call, and the thing that really scared me, not him, was, hey, I have a call on my life, you have a call on your life, I don't want to mess anything up. But now we are both seeing how those things mesh together, and I think it's going to be stronger, it's going to be faster. Yeah, we are actually believing that God will give us through the end of the year. I have about 2 or 3 things after the wedding, and like 6 things before the wedding, but 2 or 3 assignments after the wedding. But for the most part, we just want to have beach time and just be honeymooners, right? And but we really feel like 2025 is going to take off like crazy. And yeah.
I agree.
So yeah, thank you so much. That's such strong confirmation. I'm really thrilled. Who would have thought that I mean, this whole who would have just thought
2 years ago, 2 years ago,
stepping
we were
into
2
this with,
ladies at our full-time jobs.
yes.
Literally this time 2 years
Oh
ago,
yeah,
God.
it was August of
2
2020.
years ago. Yes, you were
And
making
here
a
we are.
transition. I was making a
Yes.
transition, and here 2 years later, here we are in our
Yeah.
businesses doing very
And what
well,
freedom
thriving,
has
and you're
done.
getting married.
Yeah. It's gonna happen.
2 years.
Here we go. I know. The idea of like being looking at how our jobs prepared us to steward freedom with character, and then fully embracing freedom and how freedom brings you into your godly identity. And then for me, who would have thought this crazy surprise? So I love you. We'll keep these
I
up.
love
We'll
you.
see. Like
Yes, I love our CEO
I
check-ins.
know.
Do you feel strong? Do you feel healthy? I mean, like,
Yes.
obviously you have things booming in personal life, but business is doing really well. I'm so
Yeah.
excited.
Yeah.
I think you're going to write a book in 2025 too. I just prophesied that. I just feel
Come
that
on.
very
I need
strongly.
to. I've been feeling like people have been asking me, like people walk up to the book table, do you have anything new? I'm like, no, I have some online courses that are new. Oh no, I want to read something. I'm like, I know I
Yeah.
need to write
Can you
something.
see yourself ever writing fiction?
Yes, because I could write my story as a fictional character.
Yeah.
I
I
can
think
write my
that would be
story as a
such a
fictional
cool
character.
challenge for
It
you.
would be, wouldn't it? I've been
Yeah.
studying storytelling and the art of taking a character from one place to the next.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll just see what God does.
I love people
Plus,
like Stacey Abrams, who is like a
yes.
heavy politician, but she also writes fictional books,
Isn't
which
that
is
amazing?
crazy. I love it.
Don't you? I love that we can be multifaceted. Two
Yes,
things
I
can
love
exist
that.
at the same time and be
Yes, it
true at
can.
the same
It can be
time.
very
I
true.
am
I
this
love
and
it.
I'm that. Come on, we serve a God who's the way, the truth, and the light. He don't have to
And
be
the light.
one.
Yes. I love it. I love it. Makes us so
Me too.
multifaceted.
Well, we will check back in. I absolutely
Yes.
adore you, and
I love you too. Thank you
keep
for having
killing
me
it.
on.
And I will see you at the wedding, my dear.
Yes, at the wedding. Before the wedding, actually.
Oh, yes, before. Oh, yeah, she had skincare.
Yes, so I'll see you soon.
All right, thanks.
Love you.
Catch me on social media at PR The Builder. Visit me online at pamross.com. Catch you next time.